Chapter 12, Thoughts and Prayers. Whenever humans want to show empathy for others going through troubling times, it's common to comment, "My thoughts and prayers are with you." But what value is that to the person going through a tough time? Thoughts just rumble around in our human skull like marbles. And, according to atheist Ricky Gervais, in his stand-up routine, praying is a nice gesture. Prayers are nice, but do absolutely nothing. Are thoughts and prayers worthless efforts? Let's take a look at each. Thoughts. We've already learned that everything is made up of energy, including thoughts. But thoughts aren't just marbles rolling around in our human skull. They are energy sparks that travel beyond our human costume. Whether they are generated by the human's brain or our consciousness, they travel beyond our human as they are generated. These escaping thoughts can be measured. In 1924, a German psychiatrist named Hans Berger invented something called an EEG, electroencephalogram. It looked like a rubber swim cap with sensors connected to lots of wires that intercepted thought activity as it happened. In 1972, a new technique called MEG, magnetoencephalography, was developed by physicist David Cohen. It measures thoughts leaving a human's head without the sensors having to touch the skull. Both of these devices prove thoughts travel beyond the consciousness creating it. As thoughts leave the skull, they immediately travel to whatever they are focused on. That focus can be another person, or as in the case of Cleve Baxter, it can be a living plant we are thinking about burning with a match. Plants are living organisms with feelings. Our thoughts can affect their feelings. For decades, researchers have been doing experiments to demonstrate how plants can feel. One man who experimented with monitoring plants' feelings was Grover Cleveland, Cleve Baxter Jr. He was originally an interrogation specialist for the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, and founded the CIA's polygraph unit shortly after World War II. When he left that job, Cleve created the Baxter School of Lie Detection, where he developed a 6-week course to train policemen how to use the polygraph. These lie detectors were used to measure physiological responses when attached to someone experiencing fear, apprehension, or emotional excitement. It recorded skin conductivity by measuring the amount of moisture on the skin's surface. Besides teaching law enforcement, Baxter became chairman of the Research and Instrument Committee of the Academy for Scientific Interrogation, where he continued experimenting with the polygraph. One experiment he did on February 2, 1966, changed his perspective on life. By 1966, Baxter had worked in the polygraph field for 18 years. After pulling an all-nighter in his lab that Wednesday, he decided to use the polygraph to check the moisture on the surface of a leafy plant after he watered it. He assumed that, as the water went up through the plant, his polygraph would register higher skin conductivity on the leaves. After about 10 minutes, the opposite response occurred. Curious as to why his assumption wasn't correct, he decided to see if he could elicit other reactions from the plant. 14 minutes into watching the polygraph needle stay relatively inactive, he thought it would be interesting to burn the leaves. He left the room to find a match. Immediately, the needles on the polygraph went wild, showing the plant reacted to the mere thought of being burnt. The energy of Cleve's thoughts influenced the energy of the plant and caused it to have a stress response. He continued his experiments on plants to show how they can sense and feel. His work inspired the book The Secret Life of Plants, written by Peter Tompkins and Christopher Bird. More recently, others have experimented with the response monitoring technology used in polygraphs to demonstrate the thought energy of plants. Joe Patitucci, founder of PlantWave, created a psychogalvanometer that detects micro-fluctuations in a plant's energy. His device then finds the nearest musical note to the plant's energy frequency and plays it. One video on YouTube titled, "Will This Bamboo Plant Sing?" shows a woman connecting PlantWave's 2 electrode sensors to a bamboo plant. The sound produced is initially a low, dull tone. She listens for a moment, looks confused, and comments, "Not as active as I thought it would be." Then other tones begin to play. She says, "Oh, hello," and more notes get added to create a symphony of beautiful tones. Thoughts and brains. If you doubt the ability of a plant to have emotions and thoughts because they don't have a brain, remember two things. Energy, the building block of everything, has consciousness, and that is where thoughts, emotions, and memories are created and stored, not the brain. The other thing to remember is there are examples of living organisms in nature that don't have brains, yet can think, feel, learn, and remember. Examples include jellyfish and bacteria. Science is learning that these organisms can function in ways originally only attributed to organisms that have brains and memories. Quantum entanglement. Energy has been an essential part of the universe from the beginning. When our universe was created, it began with a single spark of energy that split, combined, morphed, and evolved into all that is today. As particles of energy split into offspring, there remains an invisible connection between those energy particles. Physicists call this connection quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement was described by Einstein as a spooky action at a distance because particles of energy can communicate with each other through this invisible connection over great distances at a rate faster than the speed of light. Scientists at the time debated this quantum connection hypothesis because they couldn't fathom communication faster than the speed of light or energy retaining its signal strength over great distances. That debate was eventually settled, and quantum entanglement has been solidly proven since then. Communication satellites like China's MISHUS now use quantum entanglement technology. Because all of the energy in the world comes from the same source, this quantum entanglement connection means the energy of our thoughts can immediately influence other energies regardless of where they are. Thoughts have the power to instantly find and influence other energies outside of the human. We've already learned how thoughts are used in heaven to manipulate energy and create the structures and landscapes we experience in heaven. On Earth, our thoughts have the power to create things by taking random acting energy and making it behave as cohesive particles. This process is much like a grade school teacher who enters a theater where very young children are waiting to practice for a play. Before the teacher arrives, the children are running around the stage, playing and screaming and having a great time as children do. When the teacher shows up, the children stop their rowdiness and form a cohesive group ready to perform. In this analogy, the teacher is an energy being who wants to create something. The rowdy children are energies in their natural state of existence. The teacher's thoughts mold the energy and make it fall into line. This ability for thoughts to take random acting energy and mold it into something different has been proven by physicists using a process called the double-slit experiment. You can read more about this experiment in the PDF download available for this audiobook. Our thoughts take us linearly through life in the direction we choose to go. At any moment, we have countless directions in which we can take our life. Each of these paths in life is a unique reality that can take our life in very different directions. Each path is a valid reality, and choosing one path over another is within our control. There is no one true reality. When someone talks about how life is filled with disappointment, fear, or doom and gloom, they aren't telling you about a universal reality. Rather, they are describing the path they are choosing. If we imagine worrisome scenarios about the future, the energy from these thoughts travels ahead to set into motion a future path that includes those scenarios. All of the potential paths in life are blurry energy waves of possibilities until our thoughts make a particular path fall into line. As we direct our thoughts toward an imagined reality, we make that path materialize over all the other possible paths we could have chosen to take. In other words, if our thoughts are filled with negativity, their power will materialize a negative, disastrous path for our future. We've read how such negative thoughts shaped a future for Billy Buckner when he thought about a possibly disastrous end to the World Series that 12 days later came true just as he imagined. His negative thoughts laid out the path for that reality that became a self-fulfilling prophecy. We can create our reality because our thoughts consist of vibrating energy. When we generate thoughts, the vibrating energy of those thoughts excites similar energies down the road. Think of this occurrence as illustrated by a line of tuning forks ranging from 512 Hz to 4096 Hz. When we hold a tuning fork of 2048 Hz near the line of tuning forks and strike it with a mallet, it vibrates. Then the similar 2048 Hz tuning fork in the line comes alive and vibrates. Think of the first vibrating tuning fork as thought energy. When its energy heads out into the world, it excites a path of events that match it. Those events are represented by the other 2048 Hz tuning fork vibrating in response to the first one. There are many possibilities for our future reality. Each reality has a distinct vibration that lies along a spectrum from negative to positive. How our thought energy vibrates at any given moment is what excites the reality tuning fork that matches our energy. Where our attention goes, our energy flows. Energy vibration is measured in frequency. Frequency is the term used to indicate how quickly energy vibrates. To understand the idea of frequency, take the example of sound energy waves displayed on an oscilloscope. On the oscilloscope screen, we see a hill and valley pattern of vibrating sound waves. How frequently a sound wave goes up and down within a second is its frequency. If the wave goes up and down a few times in a second, it's a low frequency. Conversely, if the wave goes up and down many times each second, it's a high frequency. Nikola Tesla was able to invent advanced technologies because he understood the vibrating energy of the universe. He is quoted as saying, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Thought energy generates vibrations. Thoughts that are fearful, negative, anxious, or depressed generate low-frequency vibrations. Thoughts that are loving, positive, kind, and hopeful generate high-frequency vibrations. Each spark of thought energy travels beyond us to influence other energy around us. Vibrating energy excites a path of similar energetic events in our future. Whether we anticipate the future being negative or positive, a similar path gets excited and lights up. This is how psychics can see a person's future. They look for what path in the future that person is exciting or lighting up. Albert Einstein understood the creative power of energy. He said, "Everything is energy, and that is all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics." Thought vibrations feed energy to a path we imagine until those thoughts create that reality. When that reality happens, we mistakenly believe those events happened to us, as opposed to the possibility we created them. We speculate that something will happen, and when it does, we don't realize we caused it to happen by our thoughts and beliefs. Afterward, we log the memories of those events into our reality paradigm. These new memories confirm our existing thoughts and beliefs that in turn generate similar realities in our future. This scenario repeats unless we consciously change the direction our thoughts take us. In Chapter 2, Anita Morjani, during her near-death experience, was told by heavenly beings that sickness starts within our energy and then affects our human's body. They told her if she returned to Earth, the negative part of her energy that was causing her cancer would be removed and her human's body would quickly recover completely and permanently. She returned to Earth, and the hospital doctors were shocked that their recent tests showed her body no longer had any signs of cancer. She said the major lesson she learned from this near-death experience was the understanding that the energy healing she experienced applied not only to illnesses, but also to physical and psychological conditions. She said when she visited heaven, she was shown that everything going on in our lives was dependent on the energy around us, created by us. Nothing is solid. We create our surroundings, our conditions, etc., depending on what vibrational level our energy is at. Once we understand we create our reality, then we can consciously choose a different reality. But changing our thoughts on Earth can be challenging. Our human's ego gravitates toward the negative, and its paradigm hoards negative memories of events and builds beliefs that confirm them. Egos and negative paradigms are rampant influences on Earth. Dr. Newton said when his patients describe Earth from outside their human costume, they notice an abundance of negative energy floating around Earth like smog, fueled by humans' intense anger, hatred, and fear. Either we let our negative human's consciousness create the path we experience on Earth, or we take control and create the one we want. Do you want a low vibrating, negative, fearful ego controlling where your life goes while visiting Earth? The choice is yours. You can sit back and let your human's ego take you where it wants, or you can influence your human and reshape your life to vibrate at a higher frequency. Mindfulness. The first step in changing the frequency with which your thoughts vibrate is to acknowledge that you are 100% responsible for the life you are experiencing. The reality in which you live is the reality you are allowing to be created 100% of the time. Become aware of your thoughts because those generate powerful vibrations. Also, become aware of your words because we learned from Trevor Moawad in Chapter 7 that words amplify the power of those vibrations, especially negative ones. Be intentional with what you think and say because these are sending out vibrations to create your reality. They also influence other people's energy. Your negative thoughts can make your life miserable and make you physically sick. You are the source of your thoughts, and their effects are most powerful at the source. Thinking negatively doesn't only affect the out there, it affects your inner health and well-being. Lowering your vibrations. Thoughts and words that generate the negative low vibration energy waves are these: fear and anxiety. Fear drags our energy down, and fearful thoughts create anxiety that also lowers the vibration of our energy. Fear and anxiety are the quickest ways to lower our energy vibration. Negative self-talk. We may criticize ourselves in our heads or demean ourselves out loud. Both gnaw away at our vibration level and lower it. Saying, "I'm kidding," doesn't cancel out the effects of the negative vibrations already sent out. Criticizing others. Criticizing others, making judgments about their appearance or behaviors, or spreading rumors about them sends out low-level vibrations and lowers our vibrations in the process. Addictions. Being physically or mentally dependent on something drags down our vibration level. Addictions are how we distract ourselves from events we don't want to deal with. If we can face those and resolve them, we won't need the addiction to distract us. Losing the addiction stops feeding energy that lowers our vibration levels, and the courage and confidence we gain from ending the addiction results in a rise in our vibration level. Negative emotions. Emotions can generate negative vibrations from activities such as envy, jealousy, hatred, anger, impatience, abusiveness, insensitivity. You get the point. Negative emotions eat away at the vibration level of energy that feeds our thoughts. Negative words. More than thoughts, words have increased vibrational power. Negative words like hate can send out negative vibrations even when they are expressing something as simple as, "I hate doing laundry." Japanese scientist and researcher Dr. Masaru Emoto conducted experiments to show how negative word energies can affect the living energy we know as water. He wrote about his findings in his New York Times bestseller, The Hidden Messages in Water. For his experiments, he took individual water samples from various places, such as the Mount Cook Glacier in New Zealand, Lagoa de Carapicuíba Lake in Brazil, and Japan's Sanbuichi Yusui Spring and polluted Fujiwara Dam. Dr. Emoto froze some of the water from each of these samples and under a microscope photographed how the molecules arranged themselves. This illustration is an example of how the water crystals formed after Emoto froze the Sanbuichi Yusui Spring in Japan. Notice how it has a beautiful geometric pattern, much like a snowflake. In other experiments, Dr. Emoto separated the water samples into smaller containers. Then he spoke various emotional words directed at each container and varied his emotions from positive to negative. We see by these illustrations how pleasing geometric patterns appeared when the water was frozen after the words "thank you" and "I love you" were directed toward them. But the frozen sample of the same water that was exposed to the phrase "I hate you" shows a chaotic pattern. His experiments showed the power words possess to influence the living energy around us. Why should we care about how thoughts and words affect water? because the human brain you are connected to is made up of 75% water. Raising your vibration. Until you can get control of the negative thoughts, words, and activities you experience on Earth, a great way to minimize their damaging effects is to force yourself to live more in the now. When you find yourself ruminating about the past, bring your mind back to the present by saying, "I love you," or "Thank you." These phrases will redirect your thinking to something positive and will increase the vibration of your energy. The ideal way to improve your reality is to practice behaviors that raise it and remove the parts of your life that lower your vibration level. Relationships. To raise your vibration level, you may need to rethink your relationships. If you associate with people who like to complain, they are feeding you lower vibrations. Reduce or eliminate the time you spend with them. Sometimes you can't completely disassociate with people because they are family, coworkers, or clients. To deal with this, remain neutral and don't take part when they initiate activities of a low vibration nature. You can silently repeat "I love you" or "thank you" to keep your thoughts at a higher vibration. Idle time. How do you fill the empty time in your life? Do you spend it feeding a negative paradigm with ideas of how bad life is? Or do you seek ways to quiet your mind and enjoy the positivity around you? If you can go outside, take a walk and enjoy the beauty of nature. If you can't get out, find pictures or videos of nature that can help you appreciate the beauty on Earth. As you look at the pictures, direct thoughts of love and gratitude toward the planet for providing such beauty. Another way you can direct your mind toward positive, beautiful thoughts is through art like photography, drawing, or painting. Listening to beautiful, uplifting music will raise your vibration level. Volunteering is also a great way to raise your vibration level by giving you a way to do something good for others. Gratitude. During your day, take a moment to sit and fill your head with thoughts of gratitude. Find positive things to be thankful for. It may be a child, spouse, friend, or relative that adds joy and positivity to your life. It may simply be that you have running water, a roof over your head, and you are sitting in your home rather than in a hospital bed fighting for your life. There is always something to be thankful for. Drown out negativity. If your head keeps drudging up thoughts of the past that generate shame, anger, bitterness, grief, sadness, or regret, drown them out with positivity. Remember, you are 100% responsible for how long a past hurt haunts you. If drowning out these thoughts is difficult, visit with a therapist who can help you or your human sort out why these thoughts continue. When you are tempted to judge yourself for mistakes you've made, consciously think about the past situation with compassion and empathy instead. Replace your negative self-talk with thoughts of forgiveness. Tell yourself that you were a different person in a different life back then. What is done is over, and you have moved on to a different life. Reassure yourself that you did the best you could, knowing what you knew at that time. If you feel yourself growing fearful, ask your spirit guide to give you clearer guidance and ask the angels to surround you with comfort and loving feelings. Both are always standing inches away, waiting to help you in any way they can. Prayers. Prayer has been described as thoughts turned toward heaven. While these thoughts seem invisible, they are very visible to souls in heaven. In her book, The Forever Angels, P.M.H. Atwater documented stories about young children having near-death experiences. She described how these souls observed the power of prayer that turned thought energy into light beams of radiant golden or rainbow light. The souls described how these prayer beams arced over from the one saying the prayer to where they were in heaven. When a prayer beam hit them, some said it felt like a splash of love. Others said it made them feel warm and tickly all over. Because they witnessed prayers as real energy that had a real effect, most of these youngsters began regularly praying when they returned to Earth. Dr. Emoto used prayer in some of his experiments. He took water from the polluted Fujiwara Dam, froze a sample, and photographed it. Then he prayed over another sample, froze it, and photographed it. The frozen, polluted water had a chaotic shape, much like the water exposed to the phrase, "I hate you." By simply blessing the polluted water sample, his positive prayer made a significant difference in the organization of its molecules. Its frozen pattern was more like the geometric shape of the water that was exposed to the phrase, "I love you." Knowing that Earth is overrun by negativity and the universe seeks balance, it shouldn't surprise you that we can generate positive energy that counteracts the power of the negative ones. That's what prayer is. Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian term that means to make things right. It is an ancient healing tradition that in modern days was promoted by Morna Nalamaku Simeona, a wise elder in her Hawaiian community. She devised 4 simple phrases as a way for people to significantly improve their energy vibration and experience a much more positive life. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. These 4 phrases are known as Morna's prayer and are powerful when used with sincerity. Saying, "I love you," taps into the power of the divine, who is the source of all love. "I'm sorry, and please forgive me," show an acceptance of responsibility and wise remorse for our actions. "Thank you" indicates gratitude for being loved, accepted, understood, and forgiven. More than just the words, the activities associated with these are very powerful at raising our vibration. Love, acceptance of responsibilities, gratitude, and forgiveness. Dr. Hugh Len. Dr. Haleakala Hugh Len was a psychologist who studied under Morna for many years before she died. She taught him how to use her prayer to change the world. The world he decided to change was in Hawaii's closed intensive security unit. This unit of the state mental hospital housed patients who had committed heinous crimes of murder, rape, assault, robbery, molestation, and combinations thereof. All the patients in that ward were diagnosed with serious mental disorders. Dr. Len explained that when he arrived at the facility, parts of him included negative, lower vibration emotions that needed healing. He didn't know exactly what those emotions were because they were buried deep inside his subconscious and were similar to low vibrational emotions within his patients. At the facility, staff were afraid of the patients, and the patients were afraid of each other. Violent outbursts were common, and many patients were handcuffed and shackled. The solitary confinement rooms were filled. It was a scary and depressing place. Over the next 3 years, Dr. Len sat in his office and went through patient files. He never met with patients for therapy sessions, nor did he attend any patient staff meetings. Day after day, he reviewed those files and repeated the mantra Morna had taught him. Over those 3 years, the patients began to improve. Medications were reduced. The solitary confinement rooms were emptied and the handcuffs and shackles were no longer needed. Dr. Len understood that the vibration level of his thoughts created his reality. Much like a vibrating tuning fork, Dr. Len sent out high vibrational thoughts. They excited a vibrational reality that mirrored his higher vibration. In this higher vibrational reality, the patients were being healed. After being certified that they were no longer a harm to themselves or others, patients were released from the facility. Healing that took previous doctors years to accomplish was happening in months. Eventually, all the patients were released, and the facility closed permanently. By reciting Morna's prayer for hours each day, Dr. Len emptied that facility. Hidden emotions. As we go through lifetimes on Earth coexisting with our humans, we experience traumas. The scars from these traumas stay with us in our soul personality as emotional memories. In the section on Second Heaven, I describe these scarred memories as contained in compartmentalized school backpacks that we can remove at the door when we return to heaven from Earth school. While we are on Earth, however, the memories remain with us, like a wounded inner child, and influence our lives until we recognize them and heal them. John Bradshaw was a counselor, educator, and author who did a series of books and public television broadcasts based on healing this wounded inner child. In his book Homecoming, Bradshaw taught that throughout childhood, some of us experience emotional traumas. The memories of these may get buried, but they still influence the behaviors of our humans and us throughout our earthly life. To heal these traumas, Bradshaw said, we need to heal this wounded inner child. We need to offer it comfort and the reassurance it no longer needs to fear such traumas because we are here as adults to protect it. As Dr. Len went through the files of the patients at the mental hospital, he would intuitively react to things he read. He said these reactions were caused by his internal data, which is how he referred to his wounded inner self. When that data was triggered, heavenly beings he called divinity were indicating to him that he had uncovered an emotional scar he shared with a patient. He didn't identify the hidden emotional scar, only that it existed and needed to be cleaned from within. He relied on divinity to search his heart, find that memory within himself, and help him erase it using the Ho'oponopono prayer. The 4 phrases used by Dr. Len in his prayer were directed to his wounded inside as an apology to heal those hidden traumas. As Dr. Len erased those wounds from himself, his higher frequency healing vibrations erased those wounds from the patient who shared them. As the overall frequency of his vibrations increased, they prepared a path for his life that went from one where he was surrounded by broken people to a higher vibrational path where he was healed and those people around him were healed. As his vibrations became more positive, so did the reality path his vibrations created for him. Remember, we are all connected. As Dr. Len uncovered shared emotions and erased them from himself, he watched as his patients were also freed from their emotions so they could heal. His healing became their healing. This is what Mahatma Gandhi meant when he advised, if you want to change the world, start with yourself.